Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this very special event. My name is Richard Layard. I'm an LSE economist, but I also have some interest in human well-being. I find it an incredible honor to be here introducing Khenpo Sodargye Rinpoche, as he is the leading Buddhist scholar in all of China. That's quite something. And he was in an institute there, which is a leading institute for Buddhist studies, which is where he's continued to work ever since. He is an incredibly prolific writer on all aspects of Tibetan Buddhism, and he's also a great teacher of thousands, if not millions of people. He's lectured, I'm told, in 100 universities, so I'm really pleased that LSE has become the 101st university at which he is teaching, and we are really looking forward to his teaching. So Khenpo will talk for about 45 minutes, and then I've persuaded him to lead us in a short meditation, because I think that's only proper. And then we will have Q&A, so think about the questions that you want to raise. So we'll have altogether an hour and a half, so we'll have plenty of time. So.
I'm very glad and deeply honored to be here at the school today, together with all the dedicated teachers and wonderful students, sharing this special and meaningful moment with you all on this wonderful occasion to exchange views on Buddhism's perspective on happiness and to discuss some related topics as well. Just now, I noticed that in your school, there are many exchanges and lectures about religion as well as methods of spiritual practice. At the same time, there are also places for meditation. This should be truly meaningful and significant. Personally, I also feel that in today's era, we need to have an open mindset. We should also explore the religious philosophies embedded in ancient cultures while acquiring modern knowledge and technology. Today, I would like to start by giving everyone a brief introduction of some Buddhist perspectives on social life, or to put it another way, in the relevant Buddhist scriptures, how they view social life. Some people nowadays may think that perhaps Buddhism is a very ancient philosophy and it might not be able to keep up with such a technologically advanced era. Some people believe that Buddhist philosophy is only suitable for those who meditate in remote places or for a very small number of individuals practicing in complete seclusion, detached from the concerns of ordinary society. As for those lay people living in the city, or many people of society in both the East and the West, it may not necessarily be helpful for them. I've also been carefully analyzing these issues all along. Personally, as for myself, coming to the London School of Economics and Political Science today, I'm not a scholar of politics or economics, so from those perspectives, I'm not qualified. But when it comes to Buddhist studies, I've been doing it for a relatively long time. Therefore, I can use some Buddhist concepts to have an exchange of ideas with you here. Buddhism's philosophical views on happiness, or its perspective on it, as understood in Buddhist teachings, do not truly pursue a kind of happiness that has any inherent existence. Of course, Buddhism's view of happiness includes many different perspectives and many ways of understanding it. At different levels, there are different explanations for it. If we really study carefully and thoroughly with focus, some of the ideas from more than 200-500 years ago, we will find them very captivating. Because in particular, the principles of Buddhism can be harmoniously integrated with today's rational and structured economic life. They can be perfectly blended. There is a Buddhist scripture called the Samyukta Agama Sutra. In that sutra, it is said that as a Buddhist, one should first learn worldly skills and worldly knowledge. One should learn such valuable skills and wisdom first. Even if you don't have these conditions to study, you should actively engage in farming, herding, or mastering some skills, such as construction and the like. You can involve in industrial and commercial activities as well, producing various kinds of products. So what we now refer to as industry, agriculture, or commerce are all clearly discussed in the Samyukta Agama Sutra that I just talked about. Moreover, some aspects in this text are highly consistent with modern economics. For example, it requires that the money you earn be divided into 4 parts. A quarter should be used for your own living expenses. A quarter should be saved. A quarter can be used for charity, such as helping the poor, and a quarter should be used for business or investment. I see that many young people nowadays either invest all the money they earn or spend it all on consumption, which in many ways may not align with the ideas mentioned earlier. I've heard that many British and many Australians, all their earnings are spent on their passion for travel with little thought for the future, while many Chinese people tend to save all their money. These habits don't align with the approach of splitting money into 4 parts. Buddhism's perspective on social life, that is, a rational way of living, are described in the Sigalovada Sutra. In the Sigalovada Sutra, it does not require all Buddhists to be monastics or to go off to secluded places. Instead, it encourages living a normal life in the city. This scripture discusses how to maintain a good relationship between husband and wife, including relationships with parents and siblings, as well as between masters and servants, and among friends and relatives. All of these interpersonal and social relationships are explained very clearly and are well worth studying. Buddhism also places great emphasis on morally grounded political life. In the relevant scriptures, they discuss equality, peace, and nonviolence, as well as enabling people to live and work in peace and contentment, and making the country prosperous and developed. There are also many scriptures on these topics. These scriptures include the Golden Light Sutra, the Prajnaparamita Sutra, explaining how benevolent kings may protect their countries, and the Lotus Sutra. These 3 sutras are collectively known as the 3 sutras for protecting the nation. In the past, countries like Japan placed great importance on them. In fact, these texts also discuss many things, such as how a king and ministers endowed with virtue and compassion care for and protect their citizens. These are some principles for mundane life. There are also some transcendent principles, including prayers for eliminating disasters in the world and some other related concepts. In the past, many practitioners recited these sutras, such as the Golden Light Sutra, which I just mentioned earlier. Since through the blessings and power of recitation, the country prospers and the people are at peace. This had a tremendous impact on the nation. Some time ago, I really wanted to go to Syria to recite the Golden Light Sutra. However, due to various conditions, the plan is currently on hold. Next, I'll briefly talk about how we can truly find happiness. In fact, most people probably think that happiness comes from external things, such as material possessions, like buying a nice house or an expensive car, or having an abundance of money, and so on. They believe that when material life is abundant like this, it might bring them a sense of happiness. Many people may think this way, but this kind of wealth is sometimes not very stable. What's more, wealth itself can also bring about a great deal of suffering. Earning money sometimes makes us anxious. After earning it, you worry about protecting it, and later you're worried about running out of it. So chasing wealth often comes with a lot of pain. There are also some people who believe that so-called love is something very beautiful. They assume that relying on their partner, spouse, or someone they really like, they can attain immense and enduring happiness. On the surface, many people do find happiness and sweetness in love. But in reality, if you observe with wisdom, the happiness you gain from relying on a partner may only be something you value more in your youth. Before or after youth, it's hard to feel things as intensely. Moreover, the happiness gained from relying on a partner is also very fleeting indeed. If you examine your experiences carefully, you might find that the amount of suffering may not be less than the amount of happiness. In fact, about those two paths to happiness, pursuing it externally or seeking it through relationship, it's not just us humans. In fact, many animals also seek these things, and they too experience different degrees of happiness. There are also some people who rely on certain arts, such as painting, singing, or dancing, or are attracted to a kind of charm that goes beyond what our minds can imagine. This becomes their hobby, and some people may even become completely absorbed in it. Relatively speaking, this requires less effort from them and brings less suffering overall as well. There are also some people who rely on a kind of worldly wisdom. For example, some university professors or scientists spend their entire lives researching a particular field, and for the sake of their research, they treat it as a source of enjoyment and happiness. Because of this, they might never get married in their lifetime and don't require high salary, devoting their entire lives, their whole lives to their chosen profession. There are also some people who do more charity and altruistic work to pursue happiness. From the perspective of compassion, they spend their lives working on helping the poor or doing things to help others without regard for their own families or jobs and so on. In fact, these two aspects, wisdom and compassion, if your motivation is very pure, can bring immense benefit to society and humanity. A deeper sense of happiness might be attained from the perspective of spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is actually about abiding in the very nature of your own mind. Nowadays, people often talk about mindfulness meditation. The power that it brings might surpass everything mentioned above in this context. Why does meditation have such great power? Because in our daily lives, we may experience all kinds of negative emotions, such as powerful feelings of anger, greed, and jealousy, as well as unbalanced arrogance and so on. In fact, for us humans, these are all considered negative emotions. Once they arise, for example, even if your material life is very good, your life can still be extremely chaotic, indeed like a jumbled mess, completely disorganized. So each person's own negative emotions have a huge impact. Personally, I know many people, some truly remarkable individuals, for example, those who meditate in mountain caves in Tibet. In terms of their economic situation, they may have nothing except for simple food to eat, and their clothes are tattered. But the happiness in their hearts is truly beyond words. I know many wealthy and influential people from both the East and the West. But in comparison to spiritual practitioners, their happiness is significantly lacking. I actually believe that everyone, regardless of whether they are rich or poor, whether they live in the East, the West, or anywhere else, can really enjoy what they have, the innate happiness within their own hearts. When our minds become calm, in fact, all kinds of discriminating thoughts and delusions will all gradually and slowly dissolve into the nature of our minds. At this time, in fact, by relying on this tranquility, by relying on this state of abiding, it can resolve many of your problems, irrational, intrusive thoughts, unhappy or negative emotions, mistaken or incorrect views, and so on. All of these can be eliminated. I think many people are mistaken in seeking happiness externally. When you seek outside, it's like a curious child chasing a rainbow. No matter how hard you run after it, in fact, happiness only gets further and further away from you. But if we seek within, no matter who you are, happiness is present for everyone in the most If I remember correctly, I believe that particular event actually took place in Italy. Michelangelo, the renowned artist, when he was carefully making his masterpiece, David, he went to the market to investigate. During his market research, he got a huge stone for his masterpiece. Someone just asked him how he first discovered it. He said, when I arrived at the quarry, I saw an especially large block of stone. At that moment, I knew David could be found within it. Then I asked the craftsman to remove the unneeded parts of the stone, except for what was truly needed. Everything else was removed, one piece at a time. In the end, that's how David was born. Actually, this is a really good metaphor. Many of us really don't need to seek outside ourselves. We should free ourselves from the grip of negative emotions that don't truly belong to us. When we settle our minds within ourselves, we can truly and deeply find our authentic self in the present moment in our life. Some time ago when we went to Oxford University, some professors there said that among the current students at Oxford University, about 36% of them approximately in total have come here for psychological counseling, worried that they have all kinds of various different mental illnesses. So sometimes when we really look at humanity in the 21st century about our material lives, we really shouldn't be lacking anything. But our mental state may be getting worse and worse, and mental illnesses are becoming more and more common and severe. Actually, I think that if someone is a practitioner of meditation, the issues that people are so worried about nowadays are actually very easy to deal with, and they're not worth considering as sources of suffering. Some people say, I have mental health problems because the pressure is too great, so I can't handle it. Some people say, the weather here is bad, so I develop psychological issues. Some people say, I have poor interpersonal relationships. Some say, my romantic life isn't going well. Actually, I really think that for a genuine practitioner, the reasons you mentioned simply do not pose any real harm or impact on one's mind. However, people nowadays are indeed quite busy, certainly. When I was back in my hometown in Tibet, I wrote a book called What Are You Busy With? Because so many people are extremely, extremely busy. But the reason for this busyness, as I observed, is that in the past, when we didn't have telephones, we could only have conversations with family members. Later on, when landline phones became available, if both parties had access to landlines, we could communicate with each other. Now, with the modern wireless communication networks, such as Weibo, even we are alone with ourselves, we can communicate with people all over the world. But since that the US time zones are different from China, if you have to talk to them, in this particular case, our energy is actually very limited to handle that. The thing is that our capacity is limited, but the amount of information coming in is enormous. In the end, our normal way of thinking may start to overflow, and the information takes over our inner world, and we may end up no longer function normally. You know, there is a saying that goes, economics solves today's problems, politics solves tomorrow's problems, and religion solves future problems. Perhaps this is something worth pondering because with the development of the economy, many current issues become more convenient to handle and be resolved. Politics may play a more sustained role over time. We see that the ideas of some politicians in the world are still passed down for hundreds of years. But when it comes to religion, as we look back through history, we also know it already has a history spanning thousands of years. So in the future, its ideas can continue for many more years. That's why sometimes we humans need to use religion to restrain our own behavior and observe our words and actions. Finally, following the professor's suggestion, now let's do a simple mindfulness meditation. The content of this mindfulness meditation is to help you feel at ease and gently calm your bodies and also calm your minds. The main thing is to use your mind to observe your own thoughts. You can observe with your heart, what exactly is my current state? During this process, if you start to have many distracting thoughts, just bring your heart back to the question. In fact, if you meditate like this for longer and longer periods, eventually your life will become truly very high quality and tasteful. Because many things in our world are caused by a restless and anxious mind, leading to all kinds of troubles and suffering. If our minds are very pure, even if you live in a prison, even if you live in an impoverished place, you can still live happily. You will become an optimist. All right, now let's all meditate together. While meditating, everyone should try to observe your own thoughts as much as possible to make your mind gently settle down. At this time, some people may perhaps come to know their own minds. Actually, in our subconscious, that is the depths of consciousness, when your mind truly becomes still, the deepest part of your consciousness is just like the bottom of the ocean. At this moment, this is the true nature of consciousness. As for all kinds of waves, those are not the true nature of the mind. The negative emotions that cause us so much suffering are like waves on the ocean. So for each of us, if we make a habit of meditating regularly, then your happiness, your life experience should be very different from that of others indeed. Other people feel pain, but you simply won't have that kind of anxiety at all. Now, let's meditate together for a few minutes. During this process, it's best not to fall asleep. All right. You can do it like this.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.